Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
I'm concerned about the non-locally owned businesses, especially about the big box retail stores in San Rafael. The city wants to build one more, a Target store in the Canal, right beside Home Depot. I'm concerned about that because non-locally owned businesses take money out of the community instead of leaving money in the community to go around several times and benefit us. Non-locally owned businesses oftentimes, more often than not, underpay its workers and deny benefits from workers. The Canal is the service worker engine for the county. This is a socio-economic issue for this neighborhood per se. Do you support encouraging local businesses and putting limitations on non-local businesses in San Rafael?
So next to start, Greg.
Yes. I absolutely agree with your philosophy, Louise. Thank you. And I do oppose big box businesses. The problems are two. I'm not sure the degree to which we could stop non-locally owned businesses, if at all. Maybe we can talk about that, but I worry that there are legal obstacles to that. Big box businesses, absolutely I oppose, especially at the top end. It's very easy to beat up on Walmart because they really deserve it. They're horrible on labor, they're horrible on the environment, they're horrible on healthcare, they're horrible on a lot of things. And cities all over the country for years have made huge mistakes of bribing them to come in only to see them destroy the rest of their business. It's horrible, horrible disaster. So it's a bad mistake, but it's not quite so easy to draw the line. For some people, Ideal Stationers may have been a big box chain that drove out smaller retailers, yet many of us like Ideal Stationers. Somewhere in between are Target and Yardbirds. Well, you know, Home Depot is even bigger than Yardbird. So where do you draw the line? Most people like the low prices and the big selection, but at some point you have to draw the line where it's damaging to the city and damaging to the local businesses, which are the lifeblood of the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Bob?
This is a difficult question, only because the big box stores come into the city because they provide the sales tax revenue that the cities need to provide a level of service. And though they might be unfair with their employees, which I deplore, still they provide a useful source of revenue for cities. And if they don't go in San Rafael, then they're going to move to Cornadero or move to Novato, and the city will lose that sales tax revenue. That sales tax revenue is what provides you with your police and fire and public works and maintains your streets and what have you. So if the citizens don't want big box stores, then they need to come to council meetings and say, we don't want big box stores. In doing so, though, they need to understand that there's some negative aspects to it. If the city doesn't have the revenue, then there could be a lower level of service. And that would have to be worked out with the community to understand that.
Yes.
Well, I've been in business in San Rafael for 50 or 60 years, and I don't think that we can stop fair competition with other people.
Okay. Thank you.
I have some concerns about big box retailers, the effect they have on local businesses, the effect they have on local workers, environmental issues. So I'm kind of committed to carefully scrutinizing any proposal that comes before me with those issues in mind. And let me just briefly say how this fits into the overall approach I'm going to use. When there is a project proposed in town, the approach I'm going to take will be to engage affected neighborhoods, bring stakeholders to the table that have an interest, including environmental groups, housing groups, labor groups, so that we can decide as a community overall how we want to go forward. That's just going to be my approach in general. That will apply to commercial and residential proposals that come before.
Thank you. So the next question submitted through the internet, only a brief introduction. Last year there was a community-based transportation plan that was done here in the Canal neighborhood with the participation of the community. And through that process, the community was able to list some priority projects of transportation to improve the mobility of the residents here. So the question is, So one of the projects was the bridge between the Canal and 3rd Street. So do you support a bridge to link the Canal neighborhood with 3rd Street through the Montecito shopping, through the Montecito shopping, the dialouge access? If yes, what are the next steps for this project to be implemented? If not, why not? So we are going to start with Bob.
Thank you. There needs to be a social connection between the Canal and the high school and the Montecito shopping center. And I'm not so sure that the bridge is the best alternative, but there needs to be something. The bridge is going to take years and years and years in discussion. And I think some type of a shuttle service, either on land or on water, is an immediate solution to the problem. As fire chief, I used to come back from meetings in this area, and I would see women and children walking down Francisco Boulevard, coming from Rite Aids and the Montecito Shopping Center. There needs to be a better transportation system in place. And again, I'm open to any alternative, but I think there needs to be an alternative now, rather than wait for the bridge to go through the years of discussion. So I'm looking for an immediate solution for the problem. And it could be either better transportation or a water shuttle of some sort, which might be way out of the realm, but we need something right now.
Thank you.
I think that the bridge is ridiculous. It would have to be 45 feet high for the sailboats to go under, otherwise we'd have to pay a guy up there to open up and down the bridge. So that's has no use for this area.
Thank you. Damon?
I support the idea of the bridge. In fact, there are current plans that call for a retractable bridge, so it's doable. The next steps would be for the community to evaluate, is it feasible financially? And I know that the city is looking into that. It's something that I would like to work with city officials and the community on doing, particularly to provide a safe route to school for Canal students to get to San Rafael High School. Are there other alternatives? That's something we can look at as well. But I believe the idea is worth taking a serious look at now.
Thank you.
I do support the concept of the bridge. I actually know the two guys that are the primary promoters of it. In fact, one of them I was on the board with a few years ago, the North Bay Sustainability Center. And on that board, we investigated acquiring a property right over the other side of the canal that would anchor one side of the bridge. And I think they were talking about mostly pontoons that would float and you could open it up and let the boats go through. And it would be expensive, maybe not as expensive as some people think. The financing has not been figured out. I think there was some initial financing to do a study, and we definitely need to study it more carefully because it just makes so much sense. Why should they go all the way around Montecito Shopping Center? It's probably cuts off a half a mile or more, and difference between a half a mile and a mile and a half or a mile, whatever, from the west end of the canal, and add a mile to both trips from the east end of the canal. We do need that connection. We do need to do something. A bridge may well be the answer. It may well take years, but the sooner we start, the sooner we'll have it in place, and that doesn't mean we can't do other things in the meantime to improve that connection. Thanks.